Donald Trump is actively trying to purge museums of Black history and whitewash America's history by calling our museums too woke.
Well, we want the museums to treat our country fairly. We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner or in a racist manner, which is what many of them, not all of them, but many of them are doing. Our museums have an obligation to represent what happened in our country over the years, good and bad, but what happened over the years in an accurate way.
Hi guys, my name is Esther Daniel and you're welcome back to the channel. Donald Trump is at it again. This time, he's trying to erase Black history from Americans' museum. He says that the Smithsonian is too woke just because it talks about slavery. No sir, that's called the truth. And if Trump gets his way this time, next generation won't even know what really happened in this country. Let's move on to today's video. But before we do that, please subscribe to the channel, like and share the video to help the channel out. And don't forget to drop your opinion in the comments.
Donald Trump is actively trying to purge museums of Black history and whitewash America's history by calling our museums too woke.
Well, we want the museums to treat our country fairly. We want the museums to talk about the history of our country in a fair manner, not in a woke manner or in a racist manner, which is what many of them, not all of them, but many of them are doing. Our museums have an obligation to represent what happened in our country over the years, good and bad, but what happened over the years in an accurate way.
Black American history is barely taught in America as it stands now. There is no universal curriculum in this country to explain the history of what it means to be Black in America and our Black experience. We learn our history from our parents, our grandparents, our elders, and our community, and that's how we've always learned our history. An abridged version of what most people in this country learn is that slavery was bad. Slaves were brought from Africa. They worked on plantations, mainly cotton and tobacco. Lincoln ended slavery, then cut to Martin Luther King and civil rights, and then we've been free. But that is not how history works, right? Our history is omitted from curriculum and omitted from the mainstream society because that would have to mean that America would admit its portion in systematically oppressing us today. Slavery lasted for 246 years, from 1619 until 1865. And then for 89 years after 1865, we lived under one of the worst apartheid systems in the modern world, where Jim Crow run rampant. In 1954, we got the civil rights era starting, and when we had our leaders fight for our rights to vote, fight for our rights to have fair and free housing, but we were still, the systems in place were already unilaterally spread throughout this country, meaning Black people couldn't do many things, and we had to fight for the next 30 to 40, 50 years, even today, to get access to certain things. But because this isn't taught, and the history and the gruesomeness of that slavery, where we have men raping women at their beck and call, and then stealing those babies from those mothers, and then raping them again and getting them pregnant. Black people were sent to breeding farms, mainly in Virginia, to breed with each other because the strongest slave would breed another strong slave, whether they were family or not. That's where the term motherfucker comes from. The more you know. Lynching people, how people bringing their babies to come watch lynchings, antagonizing Black people, terrorizing Black people, eating Black people. There's so many things that happen in America with white people against Black people. And the fact that they're trying to spin this new era of, well, not everybody owned a slave, white people aren't evil, it's always white people bad, Black people good. And that's not the case. The case is, if we don't teach our history the correct way, why would anyone listen to my experience as a Black person? And it's already being challenged. You know, it's every time I put up a video about the Black experience or Black history, people can throw out racist comments very quickly to me. And I'm like, why do you think it's so easy for you to be racist when my experience is exhausting? It is exhausting being Black and have to stand 10 toes down for my history and my culture. Because if it's not us to teach it, they'll wipe it from the history books here. And that's what they're trying to do.
All right, so I'm going to be breaking down exactly how what you're currently watching, which is America's attempt in rewriting American history, is actually something that Donald Trump had set since his first term, okay? Since 2019, 2020 to be exact. Now, before I get into all the nitty-gritty details, I have to start off this video with one statement. And it's going to be the same exact statement that I used to close this video, which is the true cost of racism bleeds into the depths of areas that far exceeds monetary measures. Now let us begin. Just to show you guys that I'm not playing with you. I got notes. I got front and back. Okay? It's serious. All right, so boom. In September 2020, right, Donald Trump presented, this idea of a advisory committee. The committee was called the 1776 Commission, right? And the advisory committee was supposed to support patriotic education. At least that's what Donald Trump was calling it. On November 2nd, 2020, Donald Trump signed the Executive Order 13958, that established the 1776 Committee, which their purpose was to promote a curriculum that showcased the positive aspects of American history while downplaying the United States' involvement legacy of racism and racial inequality, all in the name of patriotism. The committee cited that having certain conversations, certain topics pertaining to race, slavery, etc., was causing division in the country, that it was causing young Americans to feel or turn away from being American because of the guilt that they may have due to America's past. Complete BS, by the way. Complete BS, because I don't see Germany being able to downplay their history with Nazis and the genocide of Jews. I don't see Great Britain being able to downplay their role in colonialism. So why does America feel like they need to be able, or they should be able, to downplay its role, its legacy in racism and the exploitation of racial inequality? For what reason? You've been doing it all this time. I don't see any of you guys not wanting to be American. The slogan was "Make America Great Again." If y'all really hated it, it wouldn't have even been in the slogan. So how? How, Sway? Either way, though, they successfully promoted it, because by May of 2021, right, Governor Kevin Stintz of Oklahoma was the first state to sign the banning, right, the banning of CRT in classrooms. And then shortly after, Idaho and Tennessee followed. Now, at this point, you probably have a couple of questions, right? First thing is, how the hell were they able to successfully promote this, especially after I gave you the examples with Germany and Great Britain, right? A second thing, you're thinking about the time frame, because if you remember, I told you that the announcement of this advisory committee was done in September of 2020. Then the executive order making them an actual established committee was done in November of 2020. Joe Biden took office on January 20th of 2021. That's only a couple of months. So how the hell? Considering that as soon as Joe Biden got into office, that advisory was dismantled. It was dismantled. So how? I'm going to tell you. In order to understand how they were able to successfully promote this, you have to know about, one, the 1619 Project published by New York Times. And the second thing is the Black Lives Matter, right, movement, the protest in the summer of 2020. Believe it or not, the initial formation of this committee, of the 1776 committee, was due to it was a response of the 1619 Project published by the New York Times in August of 2019, right? And it is a long form journalism, which is a genre of journalism that examined the legacy of America's involvement with racism and racial inequality, going really deep as far as bringing up the founding fathers of this country. That's how in depth it was. New York Times actually made a real big project out of it. Like with each issue, there was a new piece all tied into this topic, which is basically dissecting the American legacy of slavery, right? And racial inequality. And a lot of people were not too happy with that. They weren't too happy with that at all. Now, this is my guess. I wrote it down. Feel free to tell me what your guess is in the comments. But my guess is that a lot of the grands and the great-grandparents of the 1%, right, they didn't want their families to see the evidence of what they were doing, what they may or may have not done in the name of racism, right? And it's not just that. right? But the nitty-gritty details behind how most of them acquired their mass generational wealth was also going to be exposed, because a lot of that is tied into slavery and or the exploitation of racial inequality in this country. It just is, right? And so they don't want that to be exposed, because especially in today's time, they don't want to face what may come with that, aka reparations. Okay, we're in a whole nother time now. Give me what you owe me. I'm pretty sure they were trying to avoid that. So while the publication, or the New York Times publication of 1619 Project, is what had this conversation brewing, what really made them be like, oh, hell no, we got to get this committee together, was the Black Lives Matter protests in the summer of 2020 due to the murder of George Floyd. A movement that was bringing awareness, right, to the crippling inequality, racial inequality that plagued this country. The advisory committee used that as their very example, as their prime example, to explain how racially motivated topics was causing division in the country due to racial tension. Mind you, the racial tension already existed, and that was the point of the protest. It was to expose and bring awareness to something that was already going on that was actually hurting this country. But they flipped it and said that, you see how the world right now is in an uproar. You see how everybody, and we're making our white youthful Americans feel bad. They don't want to be American now. We can't have that. They might turn on us. That's what they did. And what's worse is I can't even say that it's because of the cowardly, spineless, closeted racists in America. I can't say that. It's not, it's part of that, but I can't put it on them. It's actually because of the average white American. It's the average white American's fault that currently in today's time, America is rewriting American history before our very eyes. And that's because although there's only a small percentage of white people that are in the 1% or really gets to use their white supremacy at its maximum capacity, all of you guys contribute to keeping and upholding white supremacy in America. And you don't even realize it. Even the average lowest level in terms of economic status, white American, subconsciously, unless you've done the work, is upholding white supremacy here in America. Let's play a little game real quick. Not really. I'm just going to ask you some questions, right? If you're a white person who generally likes to think themselves as someone who is not racist, right? I have a couple of questions for you. First one is, do you ever find yourself feeling uncomfortable when the topics of race or slavery comes up? Do you ever feel or catch yourself wanting to just avoid the conversation altogether? You just rather not talk about it. It just makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, let's just not talk about it. Do you also find yourself thinking, or sometimes even saying like, yeah, there are problems here in America, but not everything is tied to slavery? Do you find yourself saying that, yeah, there's some racist stuff going on in America, but as far as the Black Americans are concerned, I don't think that everything is in connection to racism and slavery. That was like 400 years ago. If you find yourself doing any of those things, that right there is how you are doing your part in upholding white American supremacy here in America. White supremacy is not only about the violence, okay? It's not only about the manipulation and all of those things. It's about basically feeling that being white is right. That is the best race. They could never do no wrong. So that means anything that the white race does, they did while being in the right. The reason why you feel uncomfortable when the conversations of race and slavery comes up is because now you have to view yourself and you have to basically contradict the internalized ideology of white supremacy, that white was not right, white was not good, that you in fact were heinous. They were heinous for that time. They were disgusting. They were deplorable. Okay? A lot of the things that they were doing, it went beyond just you feeling like you were better. They really treated you. They treated Black people back then in that time as if they didn't even have the same value as being an animal. You understand? The things that they were doing was beyond torture. It was beyond punishment. It's beyond cruel. There's actually not even words that could really describe or explain how horrible this shit was.
Black Americans have been in an abusive relationship with the United States since our most recent journey here. in 1619. Yes, most recent, because of course there's evidence that we were here prior to colonization. Go read a book and argue with your mama, because that's not the point of this video. So we've been in an abusive relationship with the United States since 1619. And just like any person who's been victimized in a relationship, we've told the future girlfriends of the United States, they're an abuser. And you need to listen to us, because what they did to us, they're going to do to you. You know who the most recent girlfriends are? The immigrants. See, you all thought that you were special. Because see, just like what any abuser does, when they abuse someone and then that person leaves them, the next person they go to, they start talking about the former. Yeah, they crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. If you hear them say such and such, they are lying. So they try to get ahead of the game. They try to taint your mind to make you believe there's something wrong with the ex. In our simple minds and in our arrogance, even in regular person-to-person relationships, we always think we're better than the ex. See, they're not going to treat me that way because I'm not like you. I'm special because they chose me now. And there's something wrong with you because they got rid of you, or they no longer want you, or they never treated you right, and they're going to treat me differently. And so just like with any abuser, they manipulate the new person into believing that the old person has done something wrong, has done something crazy, are crazy. And then they get with you and they try to convince you, they manipulate you. They get your mind off of what you need to focus on. So when you see the red flags, you don't really pay attention to the red flags. They're there, but you don't really see them because you're making excuses for them. And they told you that we're the ones that were so bad and we're the ones that were so wrong, that when they start showing you who they really are, you really don't believe it's happening to you, because they made you believe that you were better than us. You're better than the ex. By the time you realize that you've been abused and you're in a trap, it's too late. They have separated you from the people that love you. They've mind fucked you and made you believe things that are not true. They have manipulated you, conned you, taken advantage of you. They done took your money, fucked up your credit, messed around with your kids. They have done all horrible things. Horrible things. And then you wake up and be like, hold on, I'm in an abusive relationship too. Wait a minute, I'm a victim too. Hold on, why didn't I believe them when they said it? And it's because they played you. Now, see, we didn't have a choice because we were brought here. We saw them for who they were on the other side. We saw them then. Yes. But what you all did was they got you when you was over there. Before you even set foot on these shores, they showed you all kinds of things in the media to make you believe all these crazy things about us African Americans. You know, we lazy. We're lazy, and we don't take advantage of the opportunities that we have here, and that we squander things. We haven't created anything. We haven't done anything amazing in history. And so they made you believe that you were special. They made you believe that you're different. You're not like them. Don't be over there with them. Don't listen to them. See, even at work, you know how when you get hired, they don't want you to discuss pay or responsibilities and stuff, because see, what's happening is people are getting paid differently, doing the same work, or one has more of a workload than the other, but you're getting paid less. As long as you don't communicate and talk, then you think that you're special. That's what they did to you. They told you that you were special. They said, don't go over there with them. As long as they can keep us separated and keep you believing that we're in the wrong, then you're going to do their bidding. You're going to now take the mantle and discriminate against us and hate us and talk about us and tell us that we're not good people and we are this and we are that. Everything that they've told you, you come back and bring it to us. So now they've manipulated you to the point where you actually do their dirty work. And then the election happened and you all showed up. And you did exactly what they wanted you to do. And I'm not going to say not all, because you know if you weren't the one that did it, then I'm not talking to you. So there's that. For those of you who did, you drank the Kool-Aid, you sipped the sauce, and you thought that you were different. And now look at you. Now you're looking at the ex-girlfriend to come and save you. You're screaming at the ex, why aren't you helping me? And the ex warned you. Child, we done sent the telegram, we sent the pigeon, railroad, the mailman, UPS, and FedEx. Child, we sent Morse code, everything. We told you that they're an abuser. We told you not to believe them. What you did was you believed them because you believed that you were special and you were different. And you believed that what they did to us would never happen to you. And I mean, it's in the history books. Whatever they do to us first, they then spill over and do to the immigrants. And then they spill over and do to poor white people. Like, the history is there. They don't have a new playbook. You just refuse to read. You refuse to believe what you see. And isn't that what happens? The abuser comes and with their charm, they lure you in and they tell you how special you are. Oh, you're not like the others. You're so different. You make my life better. What would I do without you? See, with that last one, this is what they did and la-di-da-di-da. But with you, yeah, I'm glad you're here because you're nothing like them. That's how they get you. And then you get got. And that's why we've been in an abusive relationship the entire time we've been here since the journey of 1619, and we told you and you didn't listen. And look at you now. Look at your ass now.